If you were hoping for an end to the gridlock in the House of Representatives, you might be waiting for another two years. House projected to keep their majority in the 119th Congress, but that majority is razor thin. It takes 218 seats to have a majority, and Republicans have just 219 seats as of this morning. 3 House races remain uncalled by NBC News. So to make matters worse, Trump's administration picks threaten to whittle that down even further. The 118th Congress was defined by Republican infighting, protracted leadership battles, and has the distinction of being the least productive in a century. But some freshman House members are determined to forge a new path toward productivity when they're sworn in next year. One of those members is Democratic Congresswoman-elect Sarah McBride of Delaware. She joins us now.
Congresswoman-elect, good morning to you. Good to see you. Tell me about how you are thinking about the realities of governing in the minority.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And it is an honor to serve the greatest state in the union, Delaware, in Congress. It's wonderful to be back home after 2 weeks of orientation. And look, we've got our work cut out for us. But as you mentioned in your opener, this small Republican majority is going to have to keep their entire caucus together. And what we know is that the House Republican caucus is not known for its unity. Over the last 2 years, they have been a caucus of chaos, and they've relied on Democrats to be the responsible governing party. And I think moving forward, what we're going to see is we're going to continue to see that chaos, even with Donald Trump trying to impose discipline. And time again, that will mean Democrats will have to step up to keep the lights on in the government moving forward. But that also is going to increase our capacity to push back on the worst excesses of the Trump-Vance administration. When I ran, I said, I'm going to work with anyone who's willing to work with me to help Delaware. But time and time again, that's going to mean working with my colleagues to stop the dangerous policies of this administration as they staff up with their Project 2025 appointees.
So Congresswoman, like, the reality of it is, and I do appreciate your point about what the Democrats did in this Congress in terms of sort of leveling up against the worst excesses of the Republican majority. But there's some thinking, from what I'm hearing on Capitol Hill, that maybe this time you just let that play out, boo. We're not, y'all go ahead and do that all day long. Just go ahead, just bring it on, as opposed to saving the bacon. Actually letting the country see what the lack of governing looks like. How do you assess that fine line, particularly as you will find out? It is tough being in the minority. There's not like being in the minority in the Senate, where you have some rules you can play with. The House it can be a little bit more difficult. How do the freshmen in your class, for example, coming with that energy, keep that energy going, but also walk that fine line but not helping the opposition too much?
Sure. Well, look, I'm really proud to be part of this amazing freshman class, and I've loved getting to know all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle who are coming into the 119th Congress over the last 2 years. And I'm sure there's diversity of thought within the freshman class, just as I'm sure there's diversity of thought across the caucus. But I think moving forward, what's clear is that this incoming administration clearly can't help themselves. They are going to put on full display the chaos, the incompetence, and the cruelty of this administration. But I also think we still have a responsibility to make sure that Social Security checks go out. We still have a responsibility to make sure that people can get their critical benefits that they rely on to get food or to keep their kids in school. And that doesn't mean that absolves anyone else of their responsibility. At the end of the day, the Republicans own all of this. But I think we also have to show that we are serious, mature adults, and let that maturity and that seriousness of purpose contrast with the immaturity and the frankly incompetence of not just the Trump-Vance administration, but Republican leadership across the Congress.
Well, part of that contrast, the basic function of Congress is, in fact, to fund the government. open question about whether or not that's going to get done under Republican leadership this year. This from NBC News. Congress faces a December 20th deadline to fund the government and avert a shutdown. And Speaker Mike Johnson says House Republicans will probably push the fight into early 2025 rather than reach a full-year funding deal this year. Do you believe that will happen? Your reservations about this potentially getting pushed into January?
Well, I think it's a sad reflection of the current caucus that they can't get their work done in a timely fashion. But I'll be ready come January to do this job and to work with anyone to deliver for my constituents. But it is a sad testament that this Republican majority, with what is potentially going to be a larger majority than what they have in the next Congress, can't do the basic functions of their job. And I think this incompetence, over the last 2 years, it's been isolated to the House side where the Republicans had control. But now with full Republican control, I think it is going to be on full display for everyone. And I think it's going to have serious consequences for Republicans in 2 years.
How, you make history, you come in the room and in a way that no one else has, being the first transgender member of Congress. And there's something about being the first in anything. It's a weight that you carry, but it's a weight you try to quickly offload because you want to get to work. You also have those around you who, quite honestly, have been shameful in their behavior towards you, including the Speaker of the House and in sort of leveling up stupid around bathrooms. Your approach was, I thought, a very smart one that showed you're about the business of why you were elected to represent the people of Delaware. You don't give a damn about a bathroom. I'll work that out. If y'all worried about where I go to the bathroom, y'all got bigger problems than me, right? And I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Talk a little bit about not so much that moment, because that's just immaturity. Even on playgrounds, they don't get that stupid. But talk about what it means for you in this moment to walk into that hall, to be in that chamber and to sit at that desk to represent the people of Delaware.
Well, I didn't run to be a first. I didn't run to make history. I ran to serve this state that I love and to deliver for Delawareans. I ran to continue the work that I've done in the Delaware State Senate, where I passed paid family and medical leave and secured the largest investment in our state's Medicaid program since the Affordable Care Act passed. And I did that by bringing Democrats and Republicans together. I'm in Congress to deliver for my constituents, to make healthcare, housing, and childcare more affordable. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. I think on November 5th, Delawareans showed the country what I've known throughout my life, that in our state of neighbors, we judge candidates based on their ideas and not their identities. And over the last 2 years, or over the last 2 weeks, there's certainly been a lot of noise around me, but I've remained focused. During the course of the last 2 weeks, I met with colleagues. I attended orientation. We found our office. We are setting up our office to do the business of Delawareans in D.C. And I have to be honest, this week was awe-inspiring, being at orientation, despite all of the noise. Because as you are there, you realize you are in the body that Abraham Lincoln served in. We walked onto the House floor, and you're in the space where they passed the 13th Amendment and the 14th Amendment, where women got the right to vote. You're sitting in the chairs in the job where people passed the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. And you feel that responsibility, but also you feel that you are part of a tradition, because every single one of your predecessors served in incredibly tumultuous, challenging times. And enough of them fulfilled their responsibilities to be stewards of our democracy. And that is our calling in this moment, and I feel it very deeply.
I want to pick up on two of the things you said about healthcare and the forthcoming challenges to healthcare in this country. This from Bloomberg: slashing Medicaid for Trump's tax cuts would hurt millions. You also have ACA subsidies set to expire in 2024. 2025, with millions of Americans standing to lose health insurance. Huge, tremendous challenges. Those are the reasons that you were sent to Washington to work on behalf of your constituents. I do want to ask you, we had one of our producers who found a piece that you had written while at American University back in 2013. I want to read to you just a little bit of what you had to say a decade ago and then get your thoughts about it on the other side. You wrote, "Today is the next day of the life I've already had, but at the same time, the first day of the life I always knew I wanted to lead. I am now blessed with the opportunity to live my dream and fulfill a truth I have known since childhood. My gratitude is great to my family, friends, and this university for accepting me as the person who they now know me to be, and for letting me show them the possibilities of a life well lived. I know now that my dreams and my identity are only mutually exclusive if I don't try." How has your thinking on this evolved in the past decade?
You know, when I wrote that note, I had faced throughout my life a crisis of hope. I worried that the heart of this country wasn't big enough to love someone like me. And over the last decade, I have been able to bear witness to change that once seemed so impossible to me as a kid that it was almost incomprehensible. And I have seen it not only become possible, but become a reality. And I carry that with me in this moment because I think in so many ways, this country, on both sides of the political divide, this country is facing its own crisis of hope. And I know we still have both the individual and collective capacity to meet the scope and the scale of the challenges that we face. And I know, because I have seen it, that nothing is truly impossible.
So what... It's hard to even ask a question.
Yeah, she just mic dropped, so that's why you feel like we're supposed to wrap it here.
I got nothing. I'm good. But with the first day, what do you want to? What have you set as a goal for this year? This first day, first step, first year, as a member, to really kind of drive home what you just talked about.
Well, I am so excited to take the oath of office on January 3rd alongside this amazing freshman class. I've been working over the last few weeks to figure out committee assignments, to set up our offices, to make sure that we are delivering the quality constituent services that Delawareans have come to know and expect. I'm ready to lend my name to critical legislation that will advance policies that will uplift and empower workers in this country, like the PRO Act. I'm a former union member myself. I believe deeply in the power of unions. I'm ready to lend my name to legislation providing paid leave for all and affordable childcare for every family. And I'm going to hit the ground running, fighting for those policies. But I'm also going to look for the policies that maybe fall outside of the headlines, where Democrats and Republicans are able to find common ground, just like I've done in Delaware, where I expanded access to oral health care by teaming up with our conservative Senate Republican leader to bring more dentists to rural communities. I'm going to look for those opportunities over the next year to prove to my constituents and to this country that we can still work together. And even outside of the headlines, we can still deliver real and tangible life-saving results for people.